Like, is this a mystery start or is the episode like, are we started?
Oh, we're rolling here.
Okay.
But
right.
Hello, Andrew.
We need like a big red light.
Big red light.
Yeah,
so we're
like
going
on air. And I'll be like, oh, I can speak now.
On air. I have my hands up in like a woo woo. We're on air.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, Andrew.
Captain. So today's question.
Yes.
Is
waiting with anticipation.
When do you think is a good age, or as a psychologist and someone that works a lot with kids, what are your thoughts around therapists for kids, and when is it an appropriate time for them to look at getting them?
Oh, that's a weird question, but a good question.
Thank you.
Therapist for kids, when's a good age? I think setting that up sooner than later is a good thing. I don't think that there is too early of an age, to be honest.
So if they're verbal, they're good?
Parents of before you even have your baby. I mean, really a lot of it, I'm actually starting to think of developing like a little program, a little parents class. They have to go through a prerequisite before I even see their kids, because oftentimes I can work with kids and they get it and they know it and they're, eager, but then I'm throwing them back into an environment that doesn't support, changes in their responses. But really to create change in our children's behaviors, it starts with how we respond to those behaviors or big emotions or everything else that goes on. But if I'm going to be working with children, I mean, I think sooner is better than later. Yes, definitely when they're verbal. I mean, by the time Maya was 18 months old and she would say, I'm mad, or I think I'm frustrated, how a little 18-month-old would say, I'm frustrated. And she'd walk into her pantry and she'd grab a bottle of water and then she would start doing circles. And our pantry could walk and do circles into our kitchen. And she would do that. And I had taught her that at 18 months, some of that emotion regulation, frustration, tolerance stuff. Right. So the problem is, I think, parents will go and talk to their doctor, but then doctors often say, oh, they're just little. They're still 2, they're 3, they're boys, they're whatever. Right. And I think that can be really harmful in the first place. But even things with anxiety, they'll outgrow it. That's what we always think. But then 2 turns into 3, into 4, into 5, into 6. And all of a sudden you've got a 12-year-old who's still sleeping with their parents or still having to go into diapers or still not going to school.
Kind of a side question, but do you think that kids are more anxious earlier in life than ever before? Or like, do you think that the way things are set up, pandemic aside, do you think the way that society is set up for most Western kids that they experience greater anxiety at an earlier age?
Yes.
Okay, that was awesome. And it was really a full answer. Like it really moved the conversation forward.
You asked a yes/no question.
Yeah, but you can be like, yes, because. Anyways.
Yes, I'm going to get into it. Yes. I think parents are more anxious. And so.
Yes.
And so therefore children, I mean, it's a whole nature and nurture debate, but it's really our environment that creates. And I think parents are more anxious. We get swept up. Like I remember when I was pregnant and I'm like, it's ridiculous. Like parents are putting their babies into these classes and they're doing all these things and I'm never going to be that parent. And then I had a kid and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get.
Yeah, you had her in a lot of stuff.
What was that? What were those music? Einstein music.
The Einstein music. We did the Suzuki music stuff over in Strathcona.
But the CDs, I'm like, I got to get all these CDs. Yeah. I've got to listen to classical music. And oh my gosh, you're in Jamboree. I got to do Jamboree. Oh my gosh, you're in music. I got to do this little music class and Suzuki music and like And we get swept up into that, right? We need to stay ahead of the curve. And Maya was reading by 3 years old. She was reading super early. And then I'm like, what am I doing? This is detrimental. We taught her sign language. So by 6 months old, she was communicating in sign languaging with us. And,
I knew milk and I was about it.
I could understand. Words. I know your mom was worried that she's not going to learn how to speak because she's doing sign language.
She doesn't speak that much. So maybe mom was right.
But we just get caught up in this, our own anxiety. And then one day I just took a step back. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. She's just got to be a kid. And so but
you see that at every level, right? Like we see that in the sports the kids play.
The competition.
See that in school, right? Like we've never, like we're competitive. You and I are competitive against each other when it comes to like games one-on-one, but we're not competitive in the sense of our kids got to be the best at everything.
Yeah. But we just did bowling and I wasn't competitive with you at all.
You sucked.
I did suck, but
no, you were cool. But I mean, that's different. That's you and I just with a group and doing whatever. If it was you and me on like a date night,
I probably would have thrown a bowling ball at your head.
You would have shit talked me all the way. But so in that sense, there's I wonder if the situation of being around people and being involved raises the anxiety, even though we don't try to raise anxiety. Because there's been times that Maya's come out of saying we make her super nervous and anxious and whatever, when we didn't realize we were doing anything before she went out on the ice or stuff like that, right? Yeah. So
I think we're okay, but just, based on what I see.
I do like that this podcast, we get to say that we think we're okay every time. Well, I think we're okay. We're super good.
And I'll admit that I think, that I've ruined Maya and made her anxious from the time she was in my womb to now. But I think we've got some realizations. But I think, you had asked us from a psychologist's point of view, I just think that there are way more anxious parents than ever before. And we talk about things like, we never had to talk about self-regulation and resilience and grit and growth mindset when we were kids, because we knew how to self-regulate. We had growth mindset. It's because we were allowed those opportunities to go out and explore. We were allowed to wrestle and not get in trouble. Wrestling is so important for self-regulation. I wrestle with my girls, even my teenage girl. She doesn't love it, but we do it. And she does actually. I think she does secretly love it sometimes.
Yeah, but she's going to body slam you soon.
But that's important for self-regulation. Yeah. And even just looking at, we were allowed to travel. Well, the average was 2 kilometers away from home. I'm sure I went further than that. Yeah. Like I was in nowhere. I don't know if I can say that, but I said it. And I would travel far from home and I get lost and I had to figure my way out. We created our own sort of resilience opportunities. Now the average is like half a block away from home that kids travel. And so not only are parents more anxious, kids aren't given the opportunities to learn, I can handle it. I can do these things. I can figure it out.
Well, that goes, and I think you make a valid point, but I think as a society, we are seeing a lot of that lack of regulation and repercussion. And you're right. Like, I think we're seeing with this is gonna sound like a boomer, but as people move more and more of their lives online, there's less and less action to be taken for reprehensible behavior, right? So the reason why I'm saying this is like when we were kids and we were growing up, there was self-regulation as well as societal regulation. Like if you overstepped the line when you were playing with friends, good chance you were getting your butt kicked, right? But that was it. It was one lesson and it was over. And now there are all these platforms for people to say and do anything they want with little to no repercussion. And I find that is seeping backwards into day-to-day where everybody has to be given an opinion. Everybody's opinion is valid. Well, we don't quite know, so we need to be fair. So both people need to be punished. It's like, no, like this is totally not anxiety related, but there are a lot of things that we need to do as a collective to reestablish a framework of accountability and whatever is needed corrective measure to make people realize that there's something that happens. You can choose to do that, right? But there's something that's going to happen. But anyways, that's way off base from anxiety, but it's kind of all the same thing, right? Like,
yeah.
In a weird way, I think it's all kind of interrelated.
Well, and I think that you bring up a good point too. I mean, just empathy, right? You know, because bullying has gone online. A lot of this stuff and hurt, breaking up, we can say and do whatever we want through a text and online. I mean, just like you said, we never see those repercussions. And I remember, you know, I have had moments where I was a bully, unfortunately, right? I think it's my ADHD. It's not meant to be malicious. It was just impulsive. Wouldn't it be funny if, you know, I spray orange juice at this kid or whatever, right? But I saw the repercussions of that. And then I felt bad and I felt that guilt, right? And that shame. And our kids just don't see that. So they can throw whatever out and they think it's funny and they never see those repercussions of what their actions, how harmful it is and how they're hurting the other person. And even if they act all tough in the moment, they'll go home and they'll remember that. I mean, I'm still always calling my brother, I'm so sorry I did this. But I think our kids are missing out on that. And yeah, they don't know how to solve real life conflicts. So what are they going to do when their boss comes down and they need to engage in one of these conversations? They just don't have the skills. So it's just another resilience building opportunity that's taken away from them. And they don't even know how to talk to each other because it's all texting and LOL and, you know, all that shorthand kind of stuff.
Grandma Bazanko here all of a sudden. LOL. No, I agree with you. I think all of that is absolutely spot on because comes to another question I had potentially, which was about helicoptering parents and helicoptering institutions and how much of a role does that play in stunting the resiliency of kids in terms of everything you just hit on, right? Like, perfect example was over the past few weeks, since it's been winter, more and more restrictions have been put on playtime at Willow's school as a result of the environment.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane. First day was, well, you can't slide down on your bums or you can't do this. If you don't have a sled, you can't do this, but you can't bring sleds to school. And
you can't go play if you don't have ski pants.
Yeah, you can't go play if you have ski pants. And you're only allowed to play in this section because other people have the other section. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. There is a pandemic component to it. But you've basically relegated these kids to standing in one spot for 15 to 20 minutes and then getting mad at them when they're not capable of doing that because they've been cooped up in a room all morning or all afternoon or all day. And the amount of times she's come home and just said, yeah, today we got yelled at for this. And yeah, today we got yelled at for that. Part of my knee-jerk response was say no next time and tell them I said it's okay. That if you fall on the ice, I'm okay. I'll deal with that. I don't care that their insurance liability is worried. I don't care that the Calgary Board of Education is more worried about having to pay out for injured kids. That go break your collarbone. It'll heal, right? Go have fun.
And you'll learn how to be safe and not be scared of everything all the time.
Yeah, because right now, the amount of time she slides on ice coming home and hurts herself, she's either got to learn or she's never going to learn the skill. But there's always going to be ice, right? And so it's just more of that I don't know. I think there's so many things about the way it goes these days that it's just ridiculous.
And kids learn. If I forget my ski pants and I get my pants wet, they have to learn a lesson from that. It's ridiculous that parents will call in upset that their kids' pants are wet.
That's what they're there for.
They need to learn that, right? And so their kids will never learn to put on their ski pants. And I don't know. And it's not just the ski pants and the ice. Obviously, we're talking about big things.
But it raises another question of at what point did our generation, so the generation that was probably one of the last to be let to roam free. So let's say anybody born 75 to mid to late 80s. We were given all those freedoms. We were given the ability to go do these things. We were allowed to go out until the streetlights came on, and that was your cue to come home.
We used to tunnel through the snow, and you know how many kids would die in a winter just from getting suffocating, but we were allowed to do that and continue to.
So what happened in our generation, let's call it, that we've removed that freedom?
Technology, I think, is a huge component. I don't want to say blame it all on that, but if you look,
But is it just technology from a standpoint of, like, I don't understand how technology would impact helicoptering parents or overbearing institutions or stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
Because that's more what I mean in terms of letting kids, like, I get what you mean in terms of the kids don't go outside as much now because of technology, so there's no need for them anymore. But I mean, as the supervisory parental group that is setting the rules, when did we think it's okay to remove every freedom from kids and hold other people accountable to the same standard at the same time of, why are those kids in the park by themselves? Why are those kids doing that by themselves? Why are those kids walking to the store by themselves? When did our generation lose that freedom that we should be passing on to our kids?
Yeah. Well, I remember that, someone like whole child services came and got involved, and police got involved because, a 10-year-old was at the park by themselves. I think that was up in Edmonton a couple of years ago. And I don't know, maybe it's people are more litigious. Maybe, there's more just the insurance and liability piece. I don't know where the shift is, because it certainly hasn't affected me.
Because at the end of the day, it's our fault.
Yeah, I agree.
All these things that we now hate at school and get upset about at school and think are stupid, it's our fault. As a collective, it's our fault. Because for those of us that don't agree with it, we've allowed it to continue to be pressed upon everybody in terms of removing freedom. And I got to be careful here, because I'm not meaning in the sense of, making me wear a mask is tyranny, and not that sort of freedom. I mean, freedom to roam as a child and grow and learn and be yourself, knowing that the safety net of your family is there. Your house is your safe place. But other than that, go explore, learn, make friends, do whatever.
Climb a tree, fall out of the tree.
Yeah, get into innocent trouble and come home. Like, when did we make that decision? Because we were all given that. That was given to us freely, and we enjoyed it, and we no longer offer that to our kids.
I wonder if, I don't know, I'm just hypothesizing here. I do wonder how much media does come into that, right? Just more news and awareness and just widespread, right? It's not just our local news. We get news from around the world. And I just remember, there was kidnappings happening in a different part of the city, nowhere near us. But then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like our daughter wouldn't take an Uber when she missed the school because she's scared she's going to get kidnapped. So I don't know if that's a piece of it. But I also do just wonder about the liability stuff. So just think of, what was that Netflix show with the park or something, with the, like in the 80s, the water slide park where
Action Land or whatever. Yeah. It's
it was a park in the 80s where kids were literally dying, and there's just no safety, and but kids would go head first into like a cement block because it was a lot of fun.
I think it's just Action Park.
Something like that. But, I wonder if it just was so, like, when I was a newborn, my mom had a plastic tub that she put me in and put me down on the passenger. It's the 70s, right? So put me down on the passenger side floor in this plastic tub. So I don't know, I think just the laws, we didn't have seatbelt laws until I was probably in middle school. Junior high, I think was when seatbelt laws, I think just people, started just the liability stuff. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because you would think that for the most part, we would all be cool with that.
Yeah. But then, I feel like we're pretty laid back, I think so. Even just other parents, but we get caught up. I remember going to a park and there was another mom, and I think our babies were just one. Well, no, they must have been more than one, between 1 and 2, because they were walking, and Maya just zipped up the ladder and went down the slide. And the other mom's like, you're going to let her do that? She can climb. And then she's like, how did she climb that ladder? And I'm like, how can your kid not climb the ladder? Right. And then that came that helicoptering parent thing again. So I don't know if it
just seems like a weird break at some point. Right? Is it because our generation was home more with our kids? Right? Was our upbringing a necessity or an off and a result of our parents not being able to be there all the time? So we simply had to fend for ourselves. But as things have progressed, more parents are home more frequently. Thus, they're more involved in their kids' lives. Thus, they're there to make these rules.
That could be. My mom didn't get mat leave, right? With me. Like it was, she had to get back to
Mom and
work.
Dad were working all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly. Right.
And maybe that's why I'm laid back, because I worked through my pregnancies and the kids, right? Like, so maybe that's a piece of it. I think there's lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
But we have seen huge shifts from really strict parenting, 50s into the 60s, 70s. It swung completely the other way, where it was all just wild child,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of coming back again. But yeah, like I think we just see these sort of patterns, but it is, I think it's, parents are more stressed. I think the demands of life, just like what you were talking about before, I always talk about these shared delusions. And one of the shared delusions that we have is you have to have perfect grades to get into the best schools, to be able to get the best jobs and have the best life. No, but it's a shared delusion. And he's shaking his head, but there is that overall as a society, right?
Yeah.
And, when we were in school, if you just volunteered, it would look fantastic. You probably got, decent grades, you'd be good. But now you have to be the valedictorian and volunteer and have the best grades and be the star athlete. And like being good enough isn't good enough anymore. You have to be the best at everything. And I think that there's so much pressure and so much focus on the outcome that we've lost sight of hard work and the effort that we put into things. And there's so many kids who put in effort, and yet they're still not getting the star at the end of the day, or they're still not getting their 4 or their 90%.
Which results in people trying to blanket it for all, because that feels bad for them. And they don't want them to feel what it's like not to be the one that gets the star. When really the lesson should be, you might not. Your effort might not get you the result you expect. What are you going to do about it?
But the focus needs to be on the effort. The star needs to be on the effort, not the outcome.
Totally. And I totally agree with that. I totally agree. But rather than shift that, what they do is they remove any sort of recognition for any achievement, and at risk of making someone feel bad. I don't agree with that. Feeling bad about not accomplishing something is just important as feeling good about accomplishing something. There's lessons in both, for right? Sure. And to remove the ability for someone to feel that they achieved something, to avoid offending or making someone that can't achieve that or isn't able to or won't or whatever, is wrong. The focus needs to be on setting it up as a system that, you're right, you worked so hard and you did so great and you didn't get it. But let's look at what you did really, really well. Maybe that doesn't have the same effect. Maybe long-term it does. I don't know. But that approach of taking away the offending item, regardless of what its approach, that leads to the same thing as Johnny's not good at walking on ice and fell the other day, so none of you can go out to the field because it's icy. Mm-hmm. Well, no. That kid could have an inner ear problem, or he just sucks at walking, right? So why now does my kid not get a chance to have even what limited outside time she's allotted per day is now infringed upon? Why? Because the school board doesn't want to get her kids. And I'm not, it makes me sound like a guy that wants kids to be heard all the time, but I don't. But I also think that these kids are not dumb. Yeah. These kids know their limits for the most part.
That's just it. Yeah.
Right. And so send them out there and with a warning. Hey guys, super icy over there, so be careful. We're going to be watching it. Or better yet, go throw some sand down. Instead of standing there as a supervisor yelling it, just take a bucket of sand and throw it down so it makes it harder for them to slip. Whatever. But don't remove the only positive part of the experience because someone fell and hurt themselves.
And because we are sending that message that you can't handle it. We know best. And that's totally going to disengage kids. And that's where anxiety comes from, is we keep getting these messages that I can't handle it. Yeah. And it ruins their whole day. And so I just don't understand why my girls don't love school, because I loved school, but I didn't have all of these. It's their only chance to go and see their friends. And and now they're getting yelled at, and now they're sneakily, oh, she's turned her back. Okay, slide down the hill really fast. Like they're trying to break rules just to slide down a hill.
Are you gonna cry?
No, I'm not. But it's just, and it just overshadows everything because they're always feeling like they're getting in trouble, and they're always feeling like they're beaten down about everything, and like, I think that's part of the problem, and
so what we've covered today so far is doctors don't know anything about anxiety in kids. Lawyers are bad because they've got a lot of liability stuff. And the entire school system should be burned to the ground and started over. Is that what we basically covered today?
Maybe that wouldn't have been my summary, but.
Well, I think we've hit on some really big points, some really interesting points. And I'm sure your doctor friends are going to really love those first couple. No, this is so far removed from the original question of therapy and kids and too young and stuff like that. We've gone, as usual, way down a different path, but it just, to me, it's a sad state. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a sad state when these kids are beat down every day about everything, because it is impossible, especially for the little guys, to be able to adhere to every rule that's put in front of them. Mm-hmm. Like, you think of the amount of rules that are in front of the girls before they leave the house in the morning.
Yeah.
Who's picking up who's emptying the dishwasher, who's supposed to walk the dogs at some point today, clear your stuff. And I mean, yeah, they're minor. They are minor, but there's still a list of things that need to be adhered to before they leave. And if any one of those doesn't hit, someone's annoyed and upset, right? Before they leave the house, before 8 o'clock in the morning. Then there's rules about when they can arrive at school, what they have to wear to school, the masks they have to have in school, who they can eat with, who they can talk to, how they're going to do their work. And your one previous escape of getting out at recess and being able to run free and do something on your own for the day is taken away from you. Yeah. Because now I don't ever, no, that's not true. I do remember there being supervisors when I was in elementary. Literally, though, there were 3 of them, and they would stand at the corner of the gym and talk to each other. And we had full reign of the entire field. Yeah. And the only time we would get into trouble is if someone decided to leave the field. Yeah. Other than that, it was Lord of the Flies. Like, it was.
See, we backed onto a forest. And so we would run into the forest and no one knew.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, the amount of times someone would get hurt and we would quickly try and cover up the noise of it so that the teachers didn't come find us. And because we knew if someone got hurt, you were done. Okay. So we all, including the injured kids, were very quick to hide that. Like, I broke my collarbone and walked back to class and stayed in class for most of the afternoon until the teacher finally realized that I was in full shock and about to pass out and sent me to the office, because we wouldn't be able to sled. If I broke my collarbone and they saw that I broke my collarbone, everybody stopped sledding. So I knew, get up, get into school, chill, you're fine. And I'm in like grade 5, right? But I had enough freedom to do something stupid and broke my collarbone and essentially got away with it. I can't imagine that ever happening now.
No.
Like, that field was a disaster.
Well, I remember, mind you, this was Winnipeg. So the snow came up really high, but we would climb up, in baseball fields, the backstops, we would climb up to the top of those and do flips off of them into the snow. And I remember, and it was in volunteer, it wasn't parent supervisors, it was actual teachers. And I remember one of the teachers coming, seeing me about to jump, or we would skin the cat, like hang upside down and skin the cat and kind of flip off backwards.
Which is an awful phrase, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know why they call it that, but the teacher would come and they're like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, just jumping off the backstop. And he was like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" And we're like, "Yeah, we've already done it a few times. Okay, carry on." That was it. Yeah, until somebody gets hurt.
Because that level of, I don't want to be involved in this, back in the day was amazing. Like, he looked at that situation and said, I can get involved and my day is shot, or I can just say something that looks like I care and then I can get the fuck out of here and it's not my problem.
Totally.
And that's the way to do it.
And it's like,
are you stealing or breaking any laws? No, I think what you're doing is stupid, but I'm gonna head out. You guys don't kill each other.
You do you. Yeah. You're dumb.
Like, we used to jump off the roof of the house onto the trampoline to see who could clear the fence and land in the park as far as possible. like ridiculous things.
And our trampolines didn't have those nets, those stupid nets around them. And they actually bounced. Like trampolines these days are so boring.
Yeah.
Kids broke their arms all the time.
Sure.
We have 10 people double bouncing. Someone always got hurt, but we were always back the next day. And
cut calves and concussions. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we should have one of those.
But we figured it out and we weren't scared of everything. Now, playgrounds are that's a soft little rubber. They don't know hurt. And when they don't know hurt, they're scared of hurt. And
it becomes a bigger thing because they don't know what their level of tolerance is. Right.
Yeah, exactly. We could go on forever, but I think that's my answer though is don't wait. If you think that your child needs help, get help right away. Even just once, one session, even just for you to consult.
Yeah. Don't
wait. It's going to cost you more tomorrow than it is today.
And doctors, lawyers, and schools are bad. Bye, everybody.
Bye.